Hi everyone, welcome back to this DIY channel. Thank you for stopping by if you're a new or returning subscriber. Yes, as you can see right here, I wigged this hair. I also make wigs, so I want to show you how I fix my wigs with already made closure. I didn't make the closure for this wig. I bought the wig and the closure. It's a very cheap wig, so I just want to use it to show you how I make a wig. I really love it. You do not really have to buy expensive wigs all the time. Well, it's a matter of choice. Well, I choose to buy some really affordable ones. So let me show you how I wigged it. Now, first of all, the tools you're going to be needing: thread and needle. The other wig that you saw me wearing, I made with a sewing machine, but with this, I'm using thread and needle, and this is the wig cap that I'm going to be using. I already have it on the dummy head. And this is the wig. Sorry, it's not a wig. This is the hair that I'm going to be wigging, and this is the closure. So first of all, I'm going to be fixing the closure. Because when you're making a wig that has closure, you have to fix the closure first. In that way, you know exactly where it's going to lay and it's not going to be so big. Now, you've seen me use these pins before. If you've been following me, you know that I use these pins a lot. I'm going to use it to hold the hair down so that it's not moving when I'm fixing the wig. I'm just going to use it to hold in place. It's really important when you use these pins to hold. It makes your work really easier and it gives you a smooth finish so that you're not having bumps. And if there are areas where you need to make adjustments, you're going to know. So I use like 6 pins. You can add more if you need. I think I actually added some more pins. Just add as much pins as you need to hold it down. And I'm going to sew right where you see me run my hands through. I'm going to sew it round. I'm removing the hair so that you can see the net. I'm going to be sewing the net of the closure to the net of the wig cap. And when sewing this, make sure that it's tight enough. Make sure that you're sewing your stitches tight enough and let your stitches be close. Do not have too many space in between them because you're going to cut that part of the net off where you have the closure on. You're going to cut that part of the net off and you're just going to be left with the closure and the rest of the wig cap. And if it's not tight enough, it may end up falling off later and you do not want that. So I decided to show you how I sew. Make sure you kind of create knots. Just make sure that they are tight enough because we are using just thread and needle. Or if you know how to sew with a sewing machine, why not? You can use that. But for me, I've used the sewing machine once. I just find using thread and needle easier, but this is a disadvantage. My thread got tied up. I had to loosen it before I continued. Because everything that has an advantage has a disadvantage. So just be careful. If your thread is really, really long, you have chances of getting it tied up when you do not want it to. I'm just going to let you watch and see how I sew, and hopefully you can see. I'm actually using my hand to drag the net of the closure because when I get to the point where the pin is, I have to take out the pin because at that point the pin is going to be like an obstacle and it's going to make it impossible for me to sew. So I have to take off the pin, and where I need it to be firm, I just hold with my second hand, with the fingers in my second hand. You see right there, I just removed another pin. And when I'm done sewing a spot, I can go back and press with my pin again before I continue. I'm hoping you already know how to sew, but if you don't, you can actually watch and see how I'm doing it. In whatever you do, just make sure it's tight enough. Uh-oh, another knot. I've untied the knot and I'm continuing my sewing. Sometimes I sew a particular spot like 2 to 3 times just to make sure it's tight enough. Just ensure that it is tight enough. And I kind of create knots after each stitch. Okay, just be careful and make sure that your thread is not nothing. And something else that I did was I threaded about 3 to 4 needle, and this is when I'm done. You can see how close my stitches was. I had to go back a second time and stitch everything round to make sure that they are tight enough. This closure part is like the most important part. You have to make sure it's really, really tight. And you see this net at the bottom? I'm going to cut it off when I'm done making the entire wig. Now that I'm done with the closure, I'm going to go to the rest part of the hair. So this was how the bundle came along with the closure. I've taken out the closure and this is the rest part. Now I'm going to take away these golden bands that were used to wrap them so that I have my wig. And something else that I do before I wear any wig is I wash them. So this wig that you see me using has been washed. I make sure that I wash my wigs before I put them on my head. Whether it's a wig, whether it's a hair that I have to wig myself, I always wash them before I try them on. It's just very important. I don't want to have any irritations, just maybe. So that's an important tip. And as you can see, I'm combing the hair just to open it and make it easier for me to work with. And while you're watching, please do not forget to like, share to any friend you think this video will be useful to, subscribe if you haven't, and please turn on the notification bell so that whenever I post a video, you'll be the first to know. I do a lot of different DIYs on this channel: cooking, sewing, making wigs, wigging already made hairs, and so on and so forth. I just have fun doing lots of DIYs. Now I'm going to the rest part of the wig. You have to start from the bottom. I'm going to start from the bottom all the way through to the top. And I'm going to be showing you how I sew it. I'm just going to show you the first part. It's the same way you sew the closure. Since we're using thread and needle, right? It's the same way you sew, but in this case it's not going to be as close as I did a closure. You can choose to make it as close if you want that more work, but it's not really necessary. I'm going to sew, and this time around I'm going to be giving a little more space. Okay, right here you can see the distance that I'm giving between each stitch. I think it's about 1 inch. You can make it half, you can just make it whatever you want, but make sure that you're creating a knot and your hair is not falling off the wig cap. I just make sure that whenever I do it, it's tight enough. So I'm sewing each stitch like 2 times and I'm creating knots. Sometimes I create 1 knot, sometimes I create 2. Just make sure it's tight enough. And I'm going to do this process throughout the entire hair. I'm also going to show you how I curve when I need to, like when I'm going to the next step. This part I just showed you is where I'm passing the needle through. You have to pass the needle through the weft because that's how you get it to be tight enough. Now I've done the first step. That's the last one at the back. That's my first step. And then I'm going to bend, or should I say fold, because I do not want to cut. I'm just going to bend and sew. Well, you can cut if that's easier for you, but I choose not to cut. I just choose to bend. And when you're bending or folding, make sure that you're not having bumps. Make sure that that part is not swollen. So I'm going to show you how I bend it. I'm going to take it upward. Can you see this angle right here? Yes. I'm going to sew a little bit upward before I bend. As you can see, very good. That way it's not going to be swollen, it's just going to be flat, because that's how you want your wig, right? You want it to be looking flat. And being able to sew your wigs yourself is going to save you some money. For me, I just enjoy doing things myself, and besides, I've been disappointed by hairstylists many times, so I decided to do my things myself, and I'm always very happy with the outcome. I'm doing the same thing to the second one, losing away the band, spreading it, and I'm just going to lay it before I fix so that I know where it's going. I'm going to sew again. I still have some thread left, so I'm going to be sewing with the same thread. If you're out of thread, then you can just get another one. Remember I said I threaded about 4 needles. It's really easier when you have all your needles threaded out, so when you exhaust one thread, you just go straight into the second one. And as you can see, we are making a lot of progress. I'm getting close to the closure. And when I get to the point where I have the closure, I'm just going to fix the last one on that net that came with the closure. Yes, I'm going to fix on it so that there's no space there, but make sure that the hair there is flat. Do not make it too thick because the front part is going to be swollen. Can you see what I did? Yes, this one is flat because it's close to the closure. I like the top of my wig to be flat actually. It's really looking scattered now, right? I'm just going to comb and show you how it's looking. Great job. Just take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Take your time, do your stuff, and you're definitely going to love the outcome. Can you see how flat the top is looking? And this is the wig. Remember, it's an inexpensive wig, so do not expect too much. And this is the result. Yeah, I'm dancing because I'm happy with the result. Always, I'm always happy with the results. Have some fun, try this out, and you're really going to love it. The next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the net in front of the closure because I'm not going anywhere with that net on my head, right? I'm just going to cut it out. And then I'm going to cut out the part of the net where I have the closure. So the closure is going to be replacing this net. That's why I said you have to stitch it and make sure it's really tight. This is the closure. It's going to replace that net. And this is it. I enjoyed the entire process. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and I'll see you in my next video. But for now, bye bye. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment sections. Bye.